Hello all. This is not officially a video within the intersectionality and veganism series, and it's a video response to a video that's almost a year old now. In all honesty, I wanted to make a response to it when I first saw it. I was worried I'd get a lot of backlash, but I'm at the point that I don't even really care anymore about getting backlash. So, let's get started. It's by a popular vegan speaker, so might still get some backlash, but I'm okay with that.
The latest lie being spread about me is that I am a racist because in a calm and sober assessment of the Israeli-Palestinian situation, I said that Palestinians are the most psychotic group of people on the planet. I stand by that statement.
So it's not actually a lie, then?
But I want to clarify something essential. I'm a misanthrope, not a racist. I hate all human beings.
Yeah, because that doesn't seem the least bit like giving yourself an out to classify entire nations of people as quote-unquote psychotic.
Palestinians and Israelis. All humans are a psychotic scourge to this planet. Whites, blacks, men, women, heterosexuals, homosexuals, Republicans, Democrats. Shit, I even hate vegans.
You know, everything else aside, I'm surprised your die-hard fans were so forgiving of that statement. Actually, I'm really not. But let's continue.
But I remain a vegan activist because vegans cause the least amount of harm to the animals and the entire planet.
Not necessarily. There are still ways vegans can cause harm, such as buying sweatshop clothing, bananas or chocolate or coffee, sourced with child labor, etc., etc., etc. Technically, there are ways to do less harm, such as veganism, breatharianism, or dying. But let's move on.
Now you might be wondering why I believe the Palestinians are slightly crazier than the Israelis.
Do tell.
First, the Israelis would gladly live with the Palestinians in Israel.
Stop. Just stop. Right there. I don't think so. Here's a quote from Israel's Justice Minister regarding Palestinians. I shared this quote also in my speciesism video, so you should check that out. But, and I quote, "Palestinians are all enemy combatants, and their blood shall be shed on all their heads. Now this also includes the mothers of the martyrs, who send them to hell with flowers and kisses. They should follow their sons. Nothing would be more just. They should go, as should the physical homes in which they raised the snakes. Otherwise, more little snakes will be raised there." I'm sorry to cut you off, Gary. I just think it's awfully irresponsible of you to mislead your fans.
The reverse is not true. The Gaza Strip Palestinians, run by the terrorist Hamas government, refuse to live amongst the Jews in Israel. And second, you have to apply Gary's nuclear weapons test scenario to this Middle East situation. Meaning, what do you think would happen if Hamas got a hold of a nuclear weapon? Anyone with an ounce of logic understands they would use it quickly and without mercy. In fact, the Palestinian government doesn't even deny this fact, as you can see in the attached news article and TV interview. Face it, Hamas having a nuclear weapon is as frightening as Iran and North Korea having nuclear weapons.
Gary, I don't know if you realize this, but, the United States, the country you and I were both born in, is the only country that has ever used a nuclear weapon, in fact, against another nation. But our having a nuclear arsenal is fine, to you? For that matter, this is just a statement made by a Palestinian government official, but Israel has been actively bombing and raiding Palestinian people fairly regularly since this conflict began. I thought your belief was that actions speak louder than words. Hasn't that been your justification Jin, for saying you think fur wearers should be raped and hunters should kill their own children? I don't know, that seems the tiniest bit hypocritical of you.
Let me be extra clear about this. The Holy Land does not belong to the Palestinians or the Israelis. It belongs to the animals. This whole planet belongs to them. We're just sick, psychotic house guests who refuse to leave the party.
Once again, Gary, I don't know if you realize this, but humans are animals too. It's not like we were just dropped off from some alien galaxy to give all the other animals on the Earth grief. You seem like an intelligent man, Gary. Surely you understand the finer points of human evolution.
I'm actually amazed that anyone would think that I would stop preaching animal liberation in any country because of some human conflict. Animal liberation comes first in my eyes.
Oh, that's very big of you. As a white, straight, able-bodied, as far as I can tell, neurotypical, cis, financially secure man. I can't possibly see that being construed as you giving yourself an out for not caring about injustice to marginalized people just because it doesn't directly affect you. Nope, couldn't imagine that at all.
And I'm also amazed that people believe that my position, my comment on the Israeli-Palestinian situation has any effect whatsoever. My position and yours doesn't mean shit.
Not really true. You and I both have some kind of audience for our viewpoints, and certainly you have more fans who hang on your every word than I do. That's partly why this video has taken a year for me to want to make.
Because they're fighting over a piece of land. And history has shown that when countries go to war over land or oil, they don't give a shit what anyone thinks. So it's time to face some harsh reality. They can all become vegan and live in peace and harmony, as I stated during this Vegan for the Win interview.
In some of your talks, you talk about speciesism being the first form of hatred that we teach children. And what do you say to the people who go on and reply to that with, saying there's far worse stuff, like people are getting raped and murdered and stuff like that, and say like we should deal with the human suffering before we worry about the animal suffering? How do you respond to those comments?
Well, they're missing my point completely. What I'm saying is that if you got rid of speciesism, you wouldn't have the rapes. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have human suffering. You wouldn't have racism, sexism, heterosexism, anti-Semitism, classism. Again, if you teach a child growing up that a spider, a mouse, a chicken, weak, even insignificant beings in many ways, deserve their right to be free. When that child grows up and encounters different sizes, shapes, and colors of humans, how are they going to learn to hate? Because that's what it boils down to. Sizes, shapes, and colors. So if you teach peace from the beginning, you get rid of racism. So the root of all that hatred, the rapes, the tortures, the Holocaust that have been going on, not just to the Jews, the Armenians, and many other groups of people around the world, you got to attack the cancer at the root. And we've learned to kill and torture each other effectively because we practiced on the animals first. So I will say again, if you want to get rid of the human suffering, get rid of the animal suffering, because we've been trying to get rid of human suffering for thousands of years. No success, not even close. So how about we stop the old pattern and do something new? Get rid of the old, try something different. Try putting peace into your body instead of death and discrimination and torture and violence. Because that's what happens in a slaughterhouse. It's horrible. These animals are terrified. You make your body a walking graveyard of violence, and you wonder why we're a violent species? And people wonder why I say during my speech we're a sick, twisted mistake of a species. Look what we do to the animals, and then what we do to each other.
Oh boy. I've talked about this in a previous video, and I stand by my position that I disagree that speciesism equals racism, sexism, etc., so I won't go too long. Now, children who are raised vegan and taught not to step on insects, for example, still grow up in a racist, sexist, hetero, cis-sexist, ableist, classist society, and no matter what circumstances the kids are brought up in, they can internalize these mindsets. Being vegan or anti-speciesist doesn't change that.
Other.
And for the Palestinian sympathizers who claim to be concerned about human rights issues, how come you aren't mad at me for preaching veganism in America? I spent a measly 5.5 weeks in Israel in 2012 and 13, giving around 35 lectures. But I've spent 18 years in America giving more than 2,600 lectures. Do I need to run down the list of atrocities that America has committed? We murdered around 12 million Native Americans. We enslaved, raped, and murdered millions of blacks for 400 years. We killed more than 100,000 Iraqi civilians, tens of thousands of them children, during the Iraq invasion. And what about that lovely vacation spot in Cuba, where Muslims get a free, endless stay in a villa by the bay? So why is it okay for me to speak in America, but not Israel?
Maybe a part of that is that you've not praised America as being some vegan haven, even though Israel's not the vegan haven it's praised as it turns out.
And what about the Chinese and German translations of my speech? Should I remove those from the internet because of their past and present human rights violations? Incidentally, about that battle that white people had with natives over America, it never belonged to either of you. This land belonged to the buffaloes, the squirrels, the deer, the bunny rabbits, and all the other creatures way before our psychotic, selfish species started raping and destroying it.
Humans are animals. Good glob, man, are you thick?
Everyone should know that I only went to Israel because they were demanding information on veganism more than any other country on this planet after my Georgia Tech speech was translated to Hebrew in 2010. Since then, they've been going vegan en masse. More than 600 restaurants have now converted 25% of their menus to vegan. Check it out with the Vegan Friendly organization. And the only reason you are seeing so much footage of me in Israel is because when I went there in 2012 and 13, a couple of activists followed me around and recorded every single thing I did. But now back to the issue at hand. As more Israelis convert to the vegan lifestyle, more animal concentration camps will be eradicated. How is this a bad thing? Meanwhile,
I will include a link below to show the truth about that little argument.
Palestinians and their hypocritical human rights sympathizers are actually building more animal concentration camps. Human rights activists actually travel to the Gaza Strip to build chicken coops. So who's the real prisoner? Who's the real victim?
Citation needed. Also, see the links I referenced.
Who's got it bad? Humans or animals?
Weird how that's exactly the sentiment vegans get from non-vegans all the time, just reversed. FYI, it's not okay for us to use logical fallacies either.
I'm really amazed that so many people want to debate which humans I hate more, when I have clearly stated time and time again that I hate all humans.
Well, I guess that makes you a speciesist. And a hypocrite. Again.
Animals are the only beings that matter in my eyes, and I'm entitled to that opinion.
Humans are animals. Humans are animals. Humans are animals.
I never signed up to be a human rights activist, so don't make me out to be one. I would never go to jail, nor give up my freedom or my life for any human rights cause, because we are monsters.
What do you mean, we?
Every single day, some mother or father kills their own baby. Just turn on the news, wherever you're at on this planet.
I hate to play this card, but he brought it up. Infanticide is all over the animal kingdom. If it's there are lions who will kill the runt of their litter, birds who will reject one of their young and refuse to feed them. Even my dog, when she was a puppy, her mother rejected her. She actually rejected the entire litter that my dog was a part of. So you can find that all over the animal kingdom. It's not a just human trait.
We are murderers and mass murderers of humans and animals. We are warmongers, tormentors, beheaders, terrorists, and rapists of humans and animals. I am an animal liberation activist. But even though I say that I hate humans, I am no violator of human beings. I am not a hypocrite.
Well, as we've established, you are a hypocrite, but proceed.
Unlike the human rights activists who are in constant violation of principles of equality every second of every day. Shit, I even buy 100% fair trade clothing as of 2013. And I'm a misanthrope. So for all the people who condemn me because I won't side with the Palestinians, nor support human rights issues any longer, I bet my life that 99% of you don't even buy fair trade.
Well, okay. Buying fair trade clothing new isn't even really the least harmful option. Buying clothing secondhand so that it doesn't go to waste is the better option. Unless, of course, you think that's beneath you.
Hatred that I have for humans is my hatred. And I'm entitled to feel this way because of what my species does to animals.
Indeed. That is your right, and, it's my right to call you out.
When oppressed humans are no longer in full violation of their principles, then I might show them some compassion.
Once again, very big of you.
But right now, if you have no compassion to animals, you deserve none in return. Do you realize in America that when blacks were freed from slavery, they were given 40 acres and a mule? They were actually given a fucking mule! The freed slaves were given a slave.
Not true.
Who's got it bad? Blacks or animals? When Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, it took the government 5 days to rescue black people who were left behind, proving that racism is alive and thriving in America.
Yeah, I know it is. I see a lot of it in this very video. Good on ya.
But guess who's got it worse? If black people tried to get on a rescue helicopter with a dog or a cat, they were forced to leave the animal behind. It took 2 weeks for the government to allow us to go in and rescue the dogs and cats.
Tragic, yes. I couldn't imagine leaving my dogs behind. But what if these rescued people had children they needed to keep safe or get to safety too? Is that not instinctive to put one's own first? Again, this happens throughout the animal kingdom.
Who's got it bad? Blacks or animals? I actually had a black student in California in 2014 at Mount San Antonio College tell me that animals got it good. Now, historically for me, during my lecture tour, black people have always been my most receptive crowds. But every once in a while,
I wonder if many of them went on to see this and what they thought of this. I have to wonder.
some of them acted as stupid as white males, who historically for me have always been my toughest crowd to reach. Why? Well, they've always been the oppressor. So the concept of being treated unjustly is foreign to them. But this student actually said that animals were living like kings and queens. Yeah, too bad it's like Burger Kings and Dairy Queens.
Clever.
To prove how stupid her comment was, I asked her what she had for breakfast. Cow flesh, black flesh, or Jew flesh? What was her shoes made of? Cow skin, black skin, or Jew skin? No one has ever suffered like the animals.
Still using logical fallacies. It's bad when non-vegans do it against vegans, and it's bad when we use it too. We're not really that special.
Moreover, as black people have been marching the streets of America because a bunch of psychotic cops have been murdering them with near impunity, at the end of the day, these protesters are going home to eat murdered animals. They are treating the animals in the same vile, disgusting way that the cops treated Eric Gardner, Freddie Gray, and the others. What a lovely display of hypocrisy right before our very eyes. But does anyone have the guts to call them out besides me?
Yes, bravo. I'll touch on this later.
Just like I've called out the pathetic Palestinian human rights sympathizers? Oh, and here's one more group of psychos who need to be called out.
Let me guess, more non-white ones?
In Nepal, who murder hundreds of thousands of animals every 5 years in a festival of murder for their Hindu gods. Click the link if you want to see the 2015 Festival of Blood and Murder and see how wonderful these scumbags are.
Called it. Oh, by the way, the Nepalese ended that festival for good as of last year. It's not like we Americans can really say the same for any of our animal exploiting and killing industries. I'm actually surprised SeaWorld's still in business after Blackfish.
The only travesty with the recent earthquake there was that every motherfucking Nepalese who took part in this festival or who stood by silently didn't die. Fuck them and anybody who donates money to help them recover.
Yeah, let's not donate money to help people who have been affected by an earthquake. Screw all those men, women, and children who have died or been hurt. Can someone please tell me again why people worship the ground this person walks on? It's really unbelievable.
I could go on and on, but I think you get my drift. I'm sick and tired of humans being put first. Free the cows, and the chickens, and the pigs, and the turkeys, and every other creature that has been marginalized, oppressed, enslaved, raped, and murdered by human beings. Then we'll get to the human rights shit, instead of the other way around.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like an out to give yourself so you don't have to care about human beings, who for the 1000th time are animals, who have been marginalized, enslaved, raped, and murdered by people in positions of power. And please, tell us what evidence you have to support the claim that once humans stop killing animals, every evil that humans do to other humans will be solved. If anything, this video is just one of many perfect examples of the contrary being true.
Destroy speciesism first, then destroying racism, sexism, heterosexism, classism, and every other ism will be in reach.
Talk about completely bass-ackwards thinking. Maybe if you cared about human rights, you could see that animal exploitation and issues like food injustice, environmental racism, colonialism, war, etc. are directly connected. Are you really going to sit there and lecture people who are in survival mode every day, working to the bone to make ends meet to support themselves and their families, who maybe don't even have many affordable vegan options, as basic as just fruits and vegetables, available to them, and have to live off cheap meat-based fast food for not being vegan, just because they're not the saint you imagine yourself to be? How dare you?
Otherwise, we're going to live in the same circle of violence for eternity. Until animals are included in all discussions of equality, to hell with any two-legged oppressed creature who can't even realize the oppression they are actively taking part in every time they sit down to a meal or buy a pair of shoes. One struggle, one fight, animal liberation. Fuck human rights.
Yeah, I don't even want to dignify this with an outro. I'll see you guys next time.